Okay, so we've reached the beginning of Endgame, and I have a build here that is really good, and to be honest, I think it'll work for a lot of builds. You don't need a specific ascendancy. Ascendancies make it better. And that is the Spell Totem build. Yes, we knew the change from the passive tree. If we go over here, this removes the cost for the casting the spell that's slotted in totem, but the totems require 75 spirit each, and the total limit is doubled. Now, originally, I knew the initial change. I didn't see the total limit was doubled. I didn't see that till I was attempting to try this out. So I had originally picked Infernalist, and Infernalist, because it had all that spirit, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit there and summon a bunch of bone cages and watch everything die. And then I was like, wait, why am I only summoning two? I have like 400 spirit. And then I realized, oh, its totem limit is doubled. So that means that naturally these have a level 1, or like they have one limit to one totem. Maybe if you corrupt them, they can get higher. But basically, if you have a limit of 2, it means you can summon 4 totems instead. So I decided, well, you know what? Eventually, we're just gonna, since we're gonna have less totems than other classes like Oracle that gives +1 to totem, we're just gonna respec into Blood Mage. We're gonna keep the same kind of playstyle for now until we get later into the end game, where we just buff up all the spell damage, buff up damage exposure, buff up ice, freeze them, do all that stuff. And then once we grow like maybe like 82, 85, somewhere around there, we can respec directly into crit because we'll have enough nodes. Because as you guys see, I kind of path it all the way down here to all the totem builds, all the totem nodes, which if you're not playing Oracle, it's only 2. But this is just to prove that you can do this on a Witch or Sorceress. In fact, I might level up a Chronomancer and try this out because that might be really cool. But to showcase you guys how this works is you run around, you place these totems, and then they create a bunch of icicles, and once those icicles stay there for 0.5 seconds, you can launch an ability and to blow it up. So if I can find some enemies that might still be around this map, maybe I can show you guys. Yep, right here. So you see, it launches these. It does all the work on killing them, and then you can just blow up these icicles, and you have like a really good single target as well as an amazing AoE clear. And as you can see, the totems have pretty far reach. You place one here, and you can walk down here. You can place 2 here, and you just keep going like that. Now, if you do not have a really good computer, this may end up, making your screen or like game freeze a lot, which I have one of the highest end systems, so I think I'm still experiencing some kind of lag a little bit when there's multiple things going on, so something to think about. But it maybe if you turn on the graphics, it will be good. So to go over the skills, so looking at the skills we have here, these 2 come from my weapon. I'm using a spear and I'm using a wand. Going over spell totem. This is the setup you'll generally use for everything. For Grim Pillars, this is a must-have since it's a Grim Pillar build. You will need Urgent Totems 3. If you don't have higher level support gems, you can use lower Urgent Totems, but you do need Urgent Totem. This just helps you place on the totem, and it gives the increased cast speeds on a spell, which is really strong. Magnified Area. You want to increase the radius of the Grim Pillars, so they have pretty far radius with this. And this last slot can be whatever you want, especially if you just come with the campaign. You'll only probably have 1 Jeweler's Orb, so you might have not used it on this, or you might have, if you're swapping out to this build, you're not going to have it. So efficiency is good to have for anyone that's not like a Blood Mage that can cheese, a lot of, or Infernal Mana and stuff like that can cheese a lot of costs. Technically, you're like, you're just placing totems down, so it's not really using that much. But later on, when you have higher level skills, +1 level, +4 levels of spells, things like that, it's going to be really tough to upkeep that continuously running around. But since we're only placing 2, we're fine. Spark. We're using Spark to destroy the icicles just because it moves really fast. It looks really cool. I just like the aesthetics. But basically, what allows us to blow up the icicles that the Grim Pillars put is the Biting Frost. That will just explode. That's what caused the explosions earlier. Fork, so that they can just move between enemies. That will help a lot more. And then projectile acceleration, so they move faster. And then just more efficiency. We're just throwing this down because I was an Infernalist before, but now being a Blood Mage, it's not really that big of a deal, to be honest. I can just throw some life taps on if I really need them. Just because the life remnant's giving your HP back. Elemental Weakness and Frost Bomb, these two are mainly used to, since we're pumping damage, right? They're mainly used to increase our damage. We haven't spec'd into crit yet, right? Because when we spec into crit, we're going to get rid of a lot of these spell damage nodes and go pure crit rate crit damage. But until then, until we get to a gear into a very comfortable position to do so, I think for newer players, using exposure plus, increased damage, and especially because Grim Pillars is an ice skill, or ice spell, you can, freeze them up and, pin things in place, which is going to be really useful for new players or early league starters. So that basically shows you why we have these two. Coalescence, Energy Shield Recharge is kind of nerfed in this patch, and especially if you're not a Blood Mage, that have life remnants, you probably need some way of keeping yourself alive, so Coalescence helps that a lot. Now, I did test this. In a Blood Mage, the spell damage leaches as life. This does not work on the totems themselves. At least, I don't know if it's supposed to, but I don't think it's supposed to, so they don't work. So I went straight up on all the defenses, and then when we spec into crit, we can just go straight on this side, and then just pick this side here. So you get you make the little heart, and that way you have the extra passives for damage and life. Elemental Conflux, well, we're just trying out things to increase damage, and as long as your thing hits the ice section and you drop the totems, these totems should snapshot what you have on. And what I mean by that is, if you have the increased ice damage like this, when you place the totems, these totems, Grim Pillars, will do more. Also, my weapon has like gain extra fire damage, and we also have this passive over here that when they're frozen, they take 25% of cold damage as extra fire. So, it just helps with more damage. I'm just kind of experimenting, but the build works really flawlessly, and it's very smooth. Now, while we're on the topic of skill gems, let me show you guys, like, how you upgrade these skill gems. Like, when you're doing the Runes of Aldor League mechanic, you're going to get these Thaumaturge Flux, and they will upgrade your skill gem, your Kalgurian skill gem, equal to the level, like, it's the same as regular skill gems. So, like, for example, level 17 will probably need, like, level 71 or 72 or something like that. So, and you can buy these from Andrew over here. I'll be honest with you, they were really cheap. They were, like, one Exalt got you a couple of them, and like they were like Chaos Orbs and stuff like that. So like if you really just want to pump damage into your character early, or you're not worried about these in case they go up in price, you can buy them now. They're really cheap, but they're not really cheap when you consider at the beginning of the league. But they're like at most 1 Exalt, which right now is expensive technically, but I went ahead and grabbed them. I have 1 Exalt to my name, maybe 2 Exalts to my name. So I just got them ahead of time just in case. It might have been a waste, but currency can always be remade. I'm not trying to race anyone here. So, going over the passive tree. We did some crazy pathing. We went all the way across here, grabbed the totems, grabbed the Ancestral Bond, and then we went all the way down here and grabbed these, and then we increased our damage as much as we can. Since we have a lot of ailments like freeze, and my weapon has that, and we were originally an Infernalist, which, you had the damage done contributes to Ignite Magnitude. I kind of just went all in on the spell damage. But now that we're a Blood Mage, this is still fine, and we'll eventually spec into crit rate crit damage. But I think this is the best way to go about it right now. But yeah, that's the end of the build. Let's go kill the boss and see how well it does. But mind you, this is a tier 6 map. So you see, it's just really, it's really simple. It's really simple, really comfy, you know. And we're all tired of Essence Drain Contagion, right? We're just all tired of it. We just want to have something cool, and you know, this looks really cool. As for leveling, I would say that you should probably level with either Essence Drain Contagion or Plants. They're definitely way better to do than what I did. I leveled with Lightning, and that was a complete mistake. I've never really leveled up through campaign all the way to endgame with elemental spells, and the whole infusion system kind of threw me off. I've always used Essence Drain Contagion, and it's just been free. I felt the pain of trying to level with elemental skills. They're just not really worth it. I think Lightning is the best, followed by Frost, then followed by Fire. Fire is absolute trash to level with. I would never level with Fire. You'd have to have a gun to my head for me to level with Fire. So, here we go on a tier 6 boss. And you guys can kind of see the damage coming at it. Oh yeah, and speaking of that, before we fight this guy, like, our gear is nothing insane, right? This is like, you know, all this is like less than 10 exalts at most. You know, you just need to make sure you have, what you call it, your resistances, right? I got 75 across the board. I only have 49 here, but this is early game, so we'll kind of work up on that, but it's fine. You know, you can see our gear, right? Nothing crazy, right? Look at that stuff. Not really crazy. You're just looking for resistances in the beginning, right? Resistances, and between your body armor and this, you would want to have 50 spirit if you want to copy this build. And the scepter is only giving 100 spirit. So if you have better scepter, even better. So, you know, if you're playing in Trade League, well, this is going to be infinitely easier because, like I said, 10 exalts at most. I mean, maybe now, from the time you guys seeing this video, it might be a little bit more expensive, but this cost me like 10 exalts. It was like, I was getting things for like regal orbs, and this was like 4 regal orbs. So, you know, it's pretty good. We don't need any crazy gear, and once we figure out, you know, if there are crazy uniques or anything to improve the build, we'll keep improving the build. But yeah, you just see that, and then you can just sit there and cast the spark, and they explode on him. As you can see there, we took that damage, and we're still fine. Now, obviously, if you're playing Oracle, I think Oracle pushes out more damage earlier on. But I think Blood Mage eventually pushed more damage than Oracle in the end game, and that's why I picked it. And if we're wrong, I'll tell you guys that we're wrong on it and don't go any further than like tier 15 maps. But I have a strong feeling that this is going to be good at the end game. But yeah, it's kind of funny. In fact, you don't even need to do that. You can just sit here and let him get frozen and do whatever you want. But just make sure you don't run too far away from your spell totems. If you're out of line of sight, they're gonna stop. They're gonna stop casting. But yeah, that is a quick introduction onto my spell totem build. We're gonna just keep improving it, and there's going to be probably within the next 2 days a more comprehensive build guide on this. But yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next video.